1.
Well, good afternoon. It's 8-ish somewhere. And it's Sunday. And this is episode number 303 of Sports Talk 916. I'm Coach Greg. That is the man formerly known as Mr. Chief, Greg Bull. And yeah, it's been a fun day already, huh?
Yeah, 2.5 hours of troubleshooting your shit to get it to work, and
not have it work.
and to not have it work, and then just another fun Sunday. So
Right?
can't complain too much.
No.
We're trying a little different setup this week. We're lacking the soundboard. We're lacking a few of the other things. But hopefully it will be an increase in audio quality and a little bit of functionality.
And I'm trying this on on my phone, which is awesome. And that's not what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's good. So again, one of those weeks where nothing going on, huh?
Yeah, not a lot going on, right? Not a ton of things happening, but we're gonna have some fun with it this week. We'll talk Kings, something rare for us. We get to talk Kings in a positive light, which is awesome because it's been few and far between since we've had a chance to do that. But yeah, let's start off with the important stuff, and that is starting up the watch party here on Facebook. So it might double up audio. There it is. It's WWE Elimination Chamber Day.
Woo-hoo!
And
yeah,
I know how much you love that. So in honor of that,
can you smell?
You almost got the legend right. But in honor of that, I have from El Segundo Brewing Company. I had just now saw these for the first time on the West Coast. I have the Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA. I've never had one before. It's 6.7% alcohol by volume. It's made in Texas. It's got Stone Cold's badassery all over it. So gonna go ahead and crack this open and see what it tastes like. I'm not gonna do it Stone Cold style. I'm not gonna go dumping them on my face and
come on.
the whole thing. That's tasty though. That's a good flavor.
I thought he drank Bud.
They throw him Coors Light, but if you watch wrestling now, he only gets thrown these. Like they just throw his beers are all over the damn place. So yeah, WWE is happening tonight. We're not going to talk about it at all, so don't worry. What's up, Josh Zimmerman? And we'll do a few other things here today. Like I said, we'll talk heavily Kings. It's going to be 95% Sacramento Kings today as we get ready for their game tonight against the defending champion Toronto Raptors at Golden One Center. And we'll have some fun with it. But and Tyler just joined. Tyler, good job letting me know, sir, that the Stone Colds are in California because it's delicious. I want to talk real.
IPA? Is it an IPA?
Yeah, it's an IPA. It's a very tasty IPA. Josh is going to the game tonight. Josh, I hope you have a good time. I wanted to talk quickly here about something that just came out. Andrew Baggerly had a very interesting interview today with the home run king, Mr. Barry Lamar Bonds. And basically, in a nutshell, if you want to check it out, it's on NBC Sports. But Bonds, in speaking with Bags, basically says that he's hurt by Major League Baseball in the fact that they've basically death listed him. They've given him the death sentence when it comes to Hall of Fame and when it comes to any type of recognition from baseball in general. And it's somewhat of a shame. 762 home runs, 7 MVP awards, 8 Gold Gloves, 12 Silver Sluggers, 14 All-Stars. He leads the league in so many other categories, leads baseball in so many other categories, all-time leader in home runs, walks, intentional walks, MVPs. But basically, completely exiled him. He only got 60% of the vote. He's on his third to last opportunity for the Hall of Fame, and he's never going to get in. I mean, obviously he's cherished in San Francisco. He'll always be loved in San Francisco. That'll never change. But he says, quote, he feels like a ghost. It's something that he says, a ghost in a big empty house just rattling around. It's a death sentence. That's what they've given me. And, it's unfortunately not, a false statement. I do find it to be
all his fault, though.
Yeah, in a way. But I also feel that it's he and Pete Rose almost should, I don't know, their situational misfortune should be looked at in a different light, given the Astros and their scandal and the punishments they were given, different things like that, and the lack of punishments that were given out to the Astros. I think you kind of have to look at what Bonds, presumptively did and what Pete Rose did in a different light. I mean, it's time to kind of reevaluate the severity of the way they're handling, what's going on with these guys. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that. You were around for Pete Rose. I never got to see him play.
Yeah,
but I obviously got to see Bonds play. And
I mean, this didn't have. Nobody knew anything about Pete Rose about this situation when he was playing. It all came about after when he was managing. That's when everything kind of hit the fan. But I think that the two things that they have in common. Well, no, I take that back. I don't know that they have a lot in common, other than the fact that they're just being exiled from the Hall of Fame. Bonds was an asshat to the press.
Yes.
He was an asshat to the fans. We loved him, but nobody really knew him. You never heard anything from him. And everybody that I've talked to that's had any kind of personal confrontation or interaction with him has said he was an asshole. And you're an asshole to the press. Guess who runs and votes for people that get into the Hall of Fame?
That's exactly where it comes down to. It's like,
yeah,
you piss off the people that feed you,
Yeah. So had he at least made an effort to be decent to some of those writers, I bet you that some of those writers would be a lot quicker to vote for him than what they're doing. He pissed a lot of people off. Pete Rose, I think it's more of a fact that he lied, straight out lied many, many times. He would say, "I'm done." He's an addict. He's an addict, and my guess is if he would have said, "You know what? I got a gambling problem. I can't stop. There's nothing I can do, and I'm going into rehab, and I'm going to work on it," he would have got in with as close to a unanimous vote that you could possibly get. He is, and I think these two guys, Bonds and Rose, were both prime candidates to be unanimous selections. You can't deny the fact that they're two of the best baseball players that ever lived. The problem is it's all attitude and how they treated people. And, Rose lied. And if he would have it kind of kept him from being a sympathetic figure where, this country and baseball fans tend to, if you admit that you fucked up, they're going to forgive you. He just kept saying, "I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I don't have a problem. Everything's fine." And then all these things are coming out that he's doing it. And Bonds just was an asshole. He was an entitled asshole and a great baseball player, but they got into it. The reason they're not in is not because somebody has it out for them. It's because of what they did.
Yeah. No, I'll agree with that. It's just, it's unfortunate because
very unfortunate.
It's for what they did. and they got caught doing, and they were, or, in Bonds' case, not proven to be caught, but anyone with, worth their salt knows what he was doing.
Right.
For them getting caught, there was probably another 30 guys that got away with it that did exactly the same thing. Maybe not as on the same level as Pete Rose. I don't know that, I don't know how many people were openly gambling on their team or betting on their teams,
Right.
but the steroid era, I mean, you're never going to convince me that it wasn't 95-5 doing it as opposed to not doing it. It was literally a get on board or get left behind situation in Major League Baseball. And every one of those guys that wasn't in the Mitchell report, every one of those guys that wasn't, outed by Canseco or Palmeiro or whoever it was that started flapping their gums, they're just biting their tongue the rest of their lives. They're going to take that to their grave.
Right.
Just like we talked about last week on the show that didn't make it. I feel that this Astros scandal, the reason why so many players are openly bashing the Astros players and the way that they're handling it, is they can no longer do the same thing the Astros got caught doing. It was not two teams in Major League Baseball that were doing this scandal or this, type of cheating. It literally, and I said this last week, every team in baseball, probably except for the Giants, because they couldn't hit a home run to save their lives, was out there tipping pitches. We talked about Tim Flannery, says it's a part of baseball. It's been like that his entire career, and these guys were getting away with murder, and Mike Fierce came out and talked about it, and that's what pissed people off, because he broke the brotherhood of baseball when he squealed on the rest of the guys.
Right.
It's a fraternity. These guys are pissed. And since the episode last week didn't air, I would love for these players to be put under a microscope and go, you motherfuckers really did not know that in Major League Baseball, when you're in Houston, it wasn't odd to you that in half of every game, there was banging and whistles and all this shit going on, and you not once went, what the hell is that?
Why from the dugout.
Why is it only happening in Houston? It's only happening in the bottom half of the innings. It doesn't happen on the road. It doesn't happen to us. What the fuck is going on? No one thought that? Like, get the fuck out of here. Everyone was in on it, or 90% of people were in on it. And that's why there's such an outcry, because everyone's pissed off they got caught.
Well, and I think the other thing is, if you turn the heat up enough on somebody else, they won't look at you. You know? So it's going to be really easy to pile on the Astros and the Red Sox because they got caught. They started this. They were the ones that were outed first. So pile the hell on those guys so that nobody looks at you.
Exactly.
I've told this story a couple of times. Back in the early 2000s, I met a minor league baseball pitcher from Grass Valley. And we were talking, and I was just kind of asking him what it was like. And he was talking about, he had been injured, and he was going to start swimming to rehab from his problems, his injuries. And so we started talking, and I said, so, what do you think about everybody doing roids and everybody, shooting up? He goes, I'm really trying to decide whether I want to do that or not. He goes, I've been thinking about it really hard. And I said, why would you want to do that? He goes, because I can make a shit ton more money by roiding up. I said, well, what does it do? I mean, make your arms stronger or what? He says, no. He goes, it makes my legs stronger. And right now I have a 91 mile an hour fastball that I can control. If I can bulk up my legs and get stronger and be able to recoup faster, and I can go from 91 to 95, he goes, that's adding an extra figure to the end of my contract. Yep. I go from making a couple of $100,000 to a couple of million. And this kid was probably in his early 20s. And I don't know, I never saw him after that. So I don't know what he did. I don't know what, the end result was, but, if everybody's doing it, is it really that bad?
And that's the ultimate question is how much did it really tarnish the game if literally everybody was partaking in it?
Right.
And the thing is too, like the people that are the biggest not supporters, but excuse makers are those that their players were involved, right? A's fans, they still love McGuire. They still love, well, maybe not love Canseco. That's a stretch. But, Giants fans are always going to love Bonds. Ranger fans are always going to love Rafael Palmeiro. A-Rod is still beloved basically anywhere. The list goes on and on and on. Roger Clemens will never be looked at as anything less than a hero in most of the cities he pitched in.
Right.
But the people that are more pissed off are the ones that, maybe their guy didn't get caught. Oh, how dare they do that because blah, 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 blah. My team was clean. No, your team just wasn't put on a list. It's a huge difference. But, that's neither here nor there. Bonds hopefully someday gets in. I don't see it happening in his lifetime. Same with Pete Rose. It'll be one of those situations where once he's gone, he'll probably get in as like a commissioner entry, or an after the fact kind of, ballot. I don't know how it works when someone dies, but I guess I'm sure they'll eventually get in, but it's going to be a situation where they're not going to benefit from the joy of getting into the hall. And right. I think that's unfortunate. But with that being said, we're not going to talk any more baseball. We are going to talk about the Sacramento Kings, and we're going to talk about the run that this team has been on since the All-Star break and moving forward. I do want to say, though, that this next segment is brought to you by Albert Chavez, United Wholesale Mortgage. He is working feverishly on refinances and taking advantage of these super low interest rates. The coronavirus and everything else that's going on has driven rates down tremendously.
50-year low right now.
You could take full advantage of it. I just refinanced my house 2 weeks ago. Not even 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. Went from a 4.99 down to a 3.0 on the interest rate. Cut my payment in half. Working with Albert on the refi, and you can do the same thing. If you're looking to buy, rates are low for buying and purchasing as well, and you could call Greg Veroza. He can go ahead and get you information on how to purchase a home. But if you need to refinance or look into getting pre-approved for a loan so Greg can do his thing, you need to call Albert Chavez, 916-230-1537. Sacramento Kings. So I put up a post yesterday that caught a lot of heat, like a lot of heat. It was probably one of our most active posts in quite some time, and it was in regards to a certain player on this team who just seems uninterested. And I don't know if it's because of what happened to Sheldon High School and his brother basically losing his chance to go for a state title. I don't know if he's frustrated because he's still hurt. There's a lot of questions asked, but Marvin Bagley just seems extremely uninterested. He seems unmotivated. He seems just to be completely disengaged from the team. And it bothered me. And it led me to the post. And everyone's like, oh, you shouldn't have been focusing on that. You should have been focusing on the fact that the Kings won the game. Well, caveat to my Bagley post was I started a post about the Kings winning and completely destroying Portland. And in the moments that it took me to write that post, the mop-up squad was in the game. And all of a sudden, Portland starts chipping away at the lead. So I stopped the post talking about a win because there was still about a minute and a half left and the lead was dwindling. And I didn't want to be the one who jinxed it. So I went away from that. I went to what else was bothering me. And that was the fact that when De'Aaron Fox came out of the game, when Harrison Barnes came out of the game, everybody on the bench stood up, gave high fives, shook hands, pat him on the back, did whatever, except for Marvin Bagley, and I went back and watched it again, and Jabari Parker. Parker doesn't bother me as much. He's not likely going to be part of the team's future going forward, but Marvin Bagley is supposed to be one of the key pieces moving forward for this team, right? He's supposed to be the future of this team, and I thought, maybe he's disengaged, maybe he's upset, whatever it might be, but The part that bothered me was Fox literally reached past him to slap a 5 with Jabari Parker. Bagley didn't make eye contact, didn't look at him, didn't take his hands out of his pockets. And to me, that rubbed me the wrong way. Now, could there be issues between Bagley and Fox that we don't know about? I don't know. I sure as hell hope not, because if Bagley does get healthy and gets on the court, they're going to be a tandem to deal with. But I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Originally, I said he needs to go. I've pulled the reins back on that a little bit, but I definitely think someone needs to sit down with him and figure out what's going on. Is it because he's not playing? He's frustrated. He's upset. He's, 19. He's 19 or 20. He's distracted. Someone needs to find out, because if he's depressed and he's not focused, maybe he shouldn't be traveling with the team. Maybe he should be at home focusing on getting ready, giving all of his dedication to getting back in the swing of basketball. Because it's just a bad look. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's definitely not a good look for your young star player to be sitting there sulking on the bench and not engaging with teammates.
It's not a great look. I'll give you that. I just think that if you take his age and his maturity level, and you take all the crap that this guy's been getting. I mean, if you're sitting around for a year, you're injured, there's nothing you can do about it. It's not like you don't want to go out and play. You want to play, but you keep getting these nagging, nasty, unrelated injuries. It's like you get healthy and then bam, all of a sudden something else happens. That's going to lead to a lot of frustration. And then you have, the idiot fan group going, yeah, we should have taken somebody else instead of the person we took.
Yeah, because that happens, right?
He sees that. He sees that. And now you're watching somebody that was drafted before you that's kind of been in the same boat you have. And all of a sudden he's starting to kill it. And people starting to think, well, maybe we just get rid of Harry. Maybe you just get rid of me. And we got Giles that's playing well. I'd be frustrated too. So I'm going to cut the guy a little bit of slack. I'm gonna cut him the slack that he's been going through the mill for ever since he got here.
Yeah,
He's been hurt. Fans are on his ass. He wants to play. I'm sure of it. And people are starting to fall in love with Harry because he's actually healthy and able to play now. I just don't think that. I mean, I'm just going to cut him some slack.
Yeah, and I like I said, I definitely pulled the reins back a little bit on my disdain for what was happening last night. But we forgot to mention too, Vlade goes out at the deadline and brings in Alex Len, who plays his position. You mentioned Harry Giles is playing well. Rashawn Holmes is back from injury. These guys.
And what was the talk about Holmes? He's the savior. Oh, he's the biggest pickup we've made in years.
Yeah.
It's as soon as he comes back, all of a sudden it wasn't, as soon as Marvin comes back, it's as soon as Rashawn comes back.
Right.
And, dude has an ego. We know that his dad feeds into his ego. And so
I'm glad you said that, because I think it was Nick, who's actually watching, who made a point on the post earlier that as much of the problem as anything is his dad. And he compared his dad, and if it was Nick, I hope it was. If not, I'm sorry. But he basically compared his dad to LeVar Ball, except he said he's worse than LeVar Ball, because LeVar is loud and he engages and he's confident in his son. But I don't think Bagley's dad distances himself from bringing up controversy. LeVar has his own thing. He doesn't ever he'll put Lonzo and LaMelo and those guys' name in his mouth, but he doesn't bring them into it. Like, if someone's talking shit, he doesn't go on Twitter or Facebook and tag Lonzo and be like, hey, boy, you see this? This guy's talking shit about you. Let's get him, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Bagley's dad it's almost like he runs both social medias. he runs his and Bagley's. Like, oh, look at what this guy's saying. And then all of a sudden, Marvin may come in and make a comment or at least sees it, which a 19-year-old you mentioned earlier doesn't need to be getting all that negative, attention.
Right.
Even if Marvin was like, look, I'm not reviewing these. I'm shutting these down. I'm blocking these guys. I'm doing whatever. I guarantee you his dad is out there going, hey, did you hear what so-and-so said? You see what so-and-so said? This. So it wasn't Nick. Sorry, it was someone else. He says he hasn't said that, but he has encountered his dad at many local AAU tournaments, and he is intense to show the least. I just feel like some of these young guys, their parents are proud of them, and rightfully so. Like, he should be proud of him. He should be proud of his brother who's playing at Sheldon, who, that's a whole nother clusterfuck that's going on with them. But there's got to be separation. Like, you got to let social media not be a part of your everyday life. And I think that probably gets in his head. He sees all these damn fans, talking shit about him, talking about Luka, talking about this guy, talking about that guy. It's got to weigh on him because Marvin wants to prove these guys wrong, but is he going to be able to? Is he going to get healthy enough to be able to prove those guys wrong? And 2 weeks ago, we talked about, is Vlade the right guy? Is he the right one to build this roster? And Kings fans left and right were talking about he sucks at this, he sucks at that, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. And then you look at the team now and you're like, well, fuck, getting Alex Lynn was a hell of a pickup.
Right.
Getting Tim Bazemore was a hell of a pickup. Jabari Parker is still to be seen, but getting rid of Trevor Ariza, getting rid of Anthony Tolliver, just making these moves, you're like, all right, Vlade, maybe you do know what you're doing. Like, he has those moments, but I don't know that I want to be Vlade Divac come this offseason when he has decisions to be made. It's a good problem to have right now, especially if Marvin Bagley comes back healthy, because you have Lynn, Giles, Holmes, Bielitsa, Bagley that all play on the front line. Like, that is and Jabari Parker, if he could get on the court. That is a good problem to have as a coach and a general manager. But Lynn, Giles, Bagley, Fox, and Bogdan Bogdanovic are all due money soon that need to be paid out. And which one of them gets paid? Which one of them doesn't get paid?
Right.
Vlade already fucked up letting Giles' option go. That there's no denying that. Like, that likely is going to come back and hurt. But Alex Lynn is playing for a deal right now. That dude he fits this team's mold right now. So let's say Alex Lynn gets a small deal. He won't be expensive. He'll be like that mid-range guy that you can afford.
Right.
Holmes is already under contract. Bogey should get paid. Fox is going to get extended. And unfortunately, it comes down to Bagley or Giles. And Giles the Kings are in a tough spot with Harry Giles. He's playing out of his mind. He's finally coming into his own. His intensity is through the roof. And if you compare the two, side by side right now, if you had to give one of them a contract, if they're equal contracts, you have to go the way of Harry Giles because he's been on the court. He's showing you what he can do. Whereas Marvin Bagley right now is all potential. We know what he can be, but we haven't seen him prove it yet, right? So where do you go with TJ, you're right. Giles likely is going to get stolen away before the Kings can make a deal with him because they can't offer him a lot of money. They can offer him, I believe, $4.2 million a year, which is like $17 million in a 4-year deal.
And I thought it was 3.9, but
either way, it comes out to be like right around $17 million is what they can offer him.
Right.
Giles is likely to get more than that on the open market. And the Kings can extend him after a year if they are able to sign him to that smaller deal and then give him an extension. But with his knees and with his history, and even Doug Christie said it on the Grant and Doug show the other day, if you get offered more money, big boy, he's like, take it, because your health and everything, your financial freedom in the future, this may be the only chance you get given your injuries history. Only problem is Harry hasn't proven to be able to stay on the court quite yet. He's off to a good start, though. Yeah, absolutely. But so I said I had an interesting take on this, and Greg, I'll run it by you again, and I'd be happy to see what other people think about this as well. But let's say Vlade and Harry Giles meet in the offseason or at the end, before the season's over, and they talk.
Okay.
And Giles basically says, look, I want to be in Sacramento. This is where I want to be. What can you do to make me feel better about taking less money to stay here? Knowing that, like I said, he could get extended either after a year or two. I don't remember exactly what it is. But before the contract's over, he would be due a hefty raise. If you're Vlade Divac and you're not confident that Marvin Bagley can get healthy, do you present something along the lines of, yeah, beg like hell? Exactly. We're going to go ahead and pin that comment, Nick. You just got the pin comment. Do you make an offer to Bagley or to Giles that basically says, look, Bagley's been in your shadow. We drafted him after you. He's been knocking on your doorstep to take the job away that you should have had. You sign this smaller deal with us and play the way you've been playing. And if you're still healthy in 2 years, we're going to give you the extension you deserve. And we're going to get rid of Marvin Bagley, whether it be via trade or we release him in the final year of his deal. Or do you wish Harry the best of luck and say, look, I'm sorry, we can't go away from it because Bagley has too much potential? Like, where do you go with that? Like, if you're Vlade Divac, mow his lawn, do you make a move like that where you're banking production over potential, or do you have to ride it out with Bagley and risk getting absolutely nothing on? Because the NBA is going to bank on his potential. Someone is going to bank on his potential. But is it Sacramento? Is Sacramento in a place that's secure enough right now to be the ones that do that?
I don't think they're going to have a choice. I think Giles is going to get scooped up. And I think right now Giles is playing for a contract. And I think that I think somebody's going to come in and, I just don't know in today's NBA, if somebody comes up and says, okay, we're going to give you 3.9 or 4.2 or whatever we can give you, and in a couple of years we're going to extend you, or somebody else comes along and says, I'm going to give you 7.3.
Right.
I don't know that there's that loyalty from an NBA player to take that. You and I, we're fans. We want him to stay. Of course we say, yeah, sure, take that. I don't know that a player's going to do that. They're going to go where they're going to get paid. And what Giles is risking is what happens if he says, okay, you know what? I like Sacramento. I'll stay here and I'll take the 4.2. And then in a couple of years, you extend me and ultimately I make 8 or 9, and then he gets hurt.
Right.
And
like I said, with his injury history,
all of a sudden he gets hurt, and the Kings aren't going to go, well, you took a flyer on us. We know you're hurt. We're going to give you that raise that we promised you anyway. There's no way. So I just
they're not the Giants. It's not
right.
Bobby Evans and just making those big ass contracts because of loyalty. And Nick hits a nail on the head here too. He doesn't think Vlade has enough mouthpiece. He has the hope that he wants to be here bad enough that he takes less to stay, which he likely won't. And that's what sucks, is because, as in tune to the game as Vlade Divac is, he just doesn't have that ability to, one, he doesn't know how to convey what he wants to say in words easily. So he probably loses a lot. Like if you have like a minute or two to prove yourself to somebody, Vlade's going to take 2.5 minutes to not get his point across. Like he just fumbles around too much. He doesn't have that conviction. And he probably wouldn't be able to talk him off the ledge. So it's going to be tough.
I just think it's going to be
somehow they figured out.
It's going to be the money that's going to talk him off the ledge, and I just don't think that the Kings have the ability. And I don't think, we all kind of thought it was a mistake when he wasn't extended at the beginning of the year, but I don't think anybody thought it was that big of a mistake. And I don't think anybody saw Giles playing this well at this point. If he was playing this well at the beginning of the year, he would have been extended. But since he was still a question mark, nobody knew what his health was going to be like. I don't think Vladdy made that big of a mistake. It's just, Giles came around and started doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know that the greatest half-court shooting NBA G League announcer, TV commentator has joined our feed. The Beacon, Dave Deuce Mason. So hey Deuce, good job on those half-court shots. I don't know how Morgan wasn't impressed. That was quite remarkable. But regardless of what happens in the offseason, regardless of what Vlade is tasked with, there is no denying that this team is absolutely playing at the level that we hoped and that we wanted to see them play at all year long. Over the last, since the All-Star break, they're 7-2. They're averaging 115 a game while only giving up 110. Philly kind of blew that out of the water a little bit. Their averages were much better until Philly dropped 125 on them. It's been fun basketball to watch. The naysayers on Luke Walton have all but been silenced, which is great because that was getting to be done as hell. He needed time. You were one of the opponents of give them that time with a healthy roster. Let these guys figure out how to play when the roster is full. And that's been proven to be huge. 21 3-pointers last night against Portland. They didn't blow the 27-point lead or 24-point lead at the half, which I was worried because that Detroit game, was it Detroit? That they put up that huge number on and then it got pissed away. Yeah. They're finally
– But they won. They came back and won.
They did win. But them holding on to a lead against, a good team. No one on that team on Portland last night scored more than 19 points. Dame Lillard was held to 12, which was huge. The team is playing right now at a level that I believe everyone can get behind. The only thing that I'm not happy with is to start the third quarter, and a little bit happened last night. It happened in the middle of the third against Detroit. It happened a lot against Philly. Is this team knows that they could shoot the ball, and they just jack up three after three after three after three after three. And they don't go in. They don't crash for rebounds. Doug made a point a couple times last night. They would take a quick three, and no Kings were down there rebounding. Or they would get down the court too quick, and there was no one there to even have a chance for a rebound. Like, this team is phenomenal at dribble drive penetration, kicking out for an open shot, getting to the rim. I would love to see them doing that more often when the shots aren't falling. They always talk about it. If you see the ball go through the net, it boosts your confidence. It kind of triggers something in your brain. I would love to see them see the ball through the net from the free throw line or a mid-range jumper rather than jacking up 4, 5, 6 threes in a row and missing them all. But again, hindsight is 20/20, and that too when you have 21 threes, you have 14 at the half. Like, you're gonna shoot. Shooters are gonna shoot. There's nothing about that. The other thing that I don't like that bothers me, and it's probably the one thing right now that I'm not a fan of with Luke Walton, is his choice times for calling timeouts. Last night the Kings were on like a 14-2 run. They got it up to like, I want to say it was like 16 or 18 points in like a 3-4 minute period when Portland was missing shots left and right. Portland makes a steal and 1 3-pointer, boom, timeout. Or the other night against Philly, they were on I think it was like a 10-2 run. They make 1 3-pointer, Philly does. He calls a timeout. It kills momentum. They go back up to jacking up shots.
Right.
Like sometimes I would like to see his confidence in the guys run a little bit longer to see if they can snap out of and keep the runs going rather than break the momentum. But there's not a lot we could complain about Luke Walton and the way this team is playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
It is a fun team to watch. They're gritty. We talked a lot about Giles. Giles, aside from getting kicked in the nuts last night on that block attempt, which was a phenomenal attempt at a block, his energy is unmatched. Alex Lynn brings a toughness to this team that we have not seen in a very long time. And, you know, if you watch that little scuffle last night with CJ McCollum, I think, was caught off guard. People are making comments, oh, why is he smiling? He thinks it's a joke. I think he was like, oh, shit, I tried pushing that fool and he didn't move. Like, Alex Lynn is a brick shithouse, and he tried to push him. He didn't budge, and before he could finish the push, Lynn was already pushing him back. And I think that caught him off guard. That's something we haven't had in a long time. Bazemore's defense is remarkable. His offense is coming in now that he's getting comfortable with the team. He's been a great spark off the bench. It looks like Buddy is finally embracing the role off the bench. He goes long periods of time without being in the game. He comes in and he's energetic. He's firing on all cylinders. I mean, Bogey's been where am I being too excited about what's going on? Is the hype real? Like, what are you feeling about that?
So I was thinking about this last night after I got to watch the first half, and I didn't get to see the second half. And I was coming home and I was thinking about this, and I think, we were all excited last year with the way Jaeger was letting the team just run. And I heard some stuff at the beginning of the year say that Walton was saying that, that's a great way to play, but it's not sustainable. You can't play that way for an entire season. You're just going to get injured, and you're going to get exhausted. So I'm kind of thinking that Walton hasn't panicked, and neither is Vladdy. And maybe they knew that we're going to have to take a couple steps backwards to take 2 or 3 steps forward. And I think what you're seeing is they got pretty much most of the season underneath their belts. They're learning what they need to be doing to play right. They're learning how to play right. And now you're seeing what we've all been talking about all year. They're starting to get healthy. People are starting to come back. Doug Christie made a point last night that we were seeing. No, Gary Gerald did. Gary Gerald made a point last night saying that we're seeing the maturation of De'Aaron Fox right in front of us, that he's learning when to drive. He's learning when to go to the basket. He's learning when to pull up and take the jumper. He's learning how to play and how to take advantage of his skills. And I think that with that put together with all the other stuff and learning what Walton wants from him, I think that I think you're seeing what we all expected, and it just took a little bit longer time.
No, and I agree with that. And, and I also think that him slowing them down and letting them get comfortable with themselves in set plays and in set systems and, getting through the motions as a team is allowing them to run better. Right. The chemistry is there. They know where guys are going to be. They know, what to expect, who's running the floor, who's not, where guys are going to gravitate to. And I think that's important because anyone can get out and run. I mean, go to any pickup gym across the country. All guys do is run. There's no chemistry. It's just run, see what happens. Where it's the good teams that know each other like the back of their hand. They know where guys are going to be before they get there. And you see the benefit of it. I mean, a good example is that a quarterback can throw any deep ball, right? Throw a deep ball, let your fast guy go get it. That works to a certain extent, but when you can throw a ball before a wide receiver breaks and the ball hits him in the hands right when he makes his break, that's the teams that are more successful. And I believe De'Aaron Fox is learning to be that quarterback on the court. Yeah. And Corey Joseph are learning this team ins and outs, and they're learning to be those orchestrators. And it's starting to pay off. And Walton really, I hate to even hint at this, but his job is getting much easier because the guys are learning to play together, where he doesn't have to do as much coaching.
Right.
Much like when he took that Warriors team to that 27-0 start. He didn't have to coach those guys.
Just stay out of the way.
Yeah, get out of the way, let them play. They know what to do. And this Kings team, albeit very young, is learning what to do. And I think that's huge. And it's great to see. So the other thing that, or not the other thing, but the thing that matters most now is that 8th seed is in grasp. It's tangible. It can happen. We went through the schedule last week on the show that did not air, and we went through and looked at the likelihood of the season. Well, instead of going through all the games, the next 8 are going to be critical. And the Kings right now are 3.5 back of Memphis. Memphis was playing, or no, not Memphis. Memphis wasn't playing today, but New Orleans was, and they were losing. No, NOLA was winning against whoever the hell they were playing, against Minnesota. They ended up winning that game 120-107. So Kings do need to win tonight. Or the Kings would be very beneficial to win for them tonight. Memphis is off today, so they can gain another half game on Memphis, get it back down to 3 games. But it's gonna be tough. This stretch is going to be important for this team.
Oh yeah.
And it starts tonight at 6:00 with the defending champs. The Toronto Raptors are in town. And if the Kings play like they played last night, they have a very good chance of beating this Raptors team. This Raptors team is good. They're 44-18. They're a very good team. They're 21-9 on the road, so they're hard to beat on the road as well.
And they were in town. They were sitting in their hotel rooms last night watching the game.
Yeah,
they didn't have to travel. The Kings are on the back end of a second half of a back-to-back.
Yep.
And Kings aren't really known for their ability to come back and play that second game of a back-to-back real hard.
The good thing is Portland is like an 18-minute flight. It's in the same time zone. It's a late starting Sunday game. If this game would have started at 3, I would have been extremely worried. But they got a little bit of extra rest. Yeah, they lost an hour of sleep last night, but it is what it is. The Kings, since the All-Star break, or over their last 7, have lost 1 game at home. That was that Philly game.
CJ McCollum was fined $20,000 for shoving Alex Lynn.
Good. And the refs should be fined for calling a bullshit offensive foul call after reviewing the play on Alex Lynn last night, too.
Yeah.
Kings are 3.5 back of Memphis. They could get a half a game back tonight with a win. Memphis is idle. They're now a game and a half. No, they're a half game up on New Orleans with their win. So they gotta win tonight to put that half game back up on the Pelicans. Again, they play Toronto. I think it's a winnable game. They play the Pelicans next at home. Their next 4 games are at home. They have Toronto tonight. They have the Pelicans. Then they have the
Nets. I thought they were on the road after that.
No, I believe it's the next 4 in a row are at home.
Are they?
I want to say it's 4 and 4, unless I looked at the schedule wrong. I'm pulling it up right now. It's the beauty of having a computer that actually moves fast now.
Right.
Yeah, their next 4 at home. So they have tonight against the Raptors. Then they're home against the Pelicans on Wednesday, which is the ESPN game. They're home on Sunday against the Nets, and then they're home on the 17th against the Mavericks before they go on the road for 4.
Okay.
So tonight is winnable, but I believe this does fall under one of those situations where you almost expect a loss, hoping for a win. It's one of those games where it's hard to pencil them in as a win against the Raptors. I think Golden One Center is going to be rocking tonight. I think the Raptors, being across country, losing an hour of sleep, having a night to rest. I mean, it's helpful, but I think at the same time, they're coming up against a really hot Sacramento team, and I almost feel like maybe sometimes too much rest is not a good thing. So I hope the Kings pull tonight off. The Pelicans game Wednesday is going to be insane. Hopefully they find a way to win that game. That game is necessary. The Nets have been terrible. They just fired their head coach. That game's winnable.
Speaking of which, did you see some D-bag in one of those groups wanted them to hire the Nets coach?
A Kings fan said that?
Yep.
Oh,
we should fire Vladdy and hire him as the GM.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's not a good idea. And then we're home against Dallas on the 17th. The Mavericks have had our number. Luka's had our number all season. They can beat Dallas, though. Dallas is a beatable team.
They've beaten Dallas once, I think.
Yes. So 3-1 on this homestand, is that or do you at least need to split 2-2? One of those games you win has to be against the Western. You have to win both Western Conference games. You have to beat Dallas. You have to beat the Pelicans.
Yeah. So wins are the losses are what's important from now on.
Right.
And we're I think 3 back behind
3.5. 3 back
3 in the loss column.
Yes.
You can't make those up. Once you get a loss, you're stuck with the loss. So they're going to have to, a win tonight, I almost look at it as a win and a half because you're not expected to get it, or 2 wins.
Right.
So, tonight's game is important. If they lose, it's expected, but that a win is huge. And then they can't have a letdown. I'm looking at the schedule right now, and you really, until they go on the road and play the Rockets, you really should at least 2-2, 3-1. If they can go 4-0, that would be spectacular. But I'm thinking,
let's be realistic.
Yeah, I think 3-1 losing tonight, they're still all right.
Yeah.
I think if something happens and they go 1-3, forget about it, they're done.
It's unless the only one they win is against the Pelicans. That's the only way that there's hope. If they lose that Pelicans game, why is Siri bugging me again? It's going to be tough. But then they go on the road and they go to Houston, which unless if they shoot like they shot against the Blazers,
yeah,
they have a chance. And who knows who Houston's going to play? They could rest players that night. It could be a load management night. And then you have Orlando, which is winnable, New Orleans again, and then Cleveland. That again can be a 3-1 road trip, 4-game set, at least the 2-2, with Houston and New Orleans, I think, being the 2, oddball games out of the 4.
Yeah.
And then
they have some very winnable games coming up.
Yeah, then they're home against Atlanta, home against the Pacers, home against the Spurs. All 3 of those are winnable. They're home. Yeah, they have a lot of home games. They're home against the Clippers, who they've beat twice already this year. Home against the Lakers. That's going to be obviously a tough one. Fucking shit. Home against the Cavaliers. And then they're in San Antonio, in Minnesota, in Denver, in Los Angeles, home for the Warriors. So they have a lot. The favorable thing that's working for them right now is they have a ton of home games left.
Right.
A ton of home games left. And that is huge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 home games. 5, 6, 7, 8 road games left. So you got to win. You got to win what? 8 of your home games and half of your road games. You need at least another 12. You need at least another 12 wins.
At least.
And Memphis' schedule doesn't get as difficult. I don't believe. I believe Memphis is in a
Didn't they
little.
have one of the worst? Didn't they have one of the toughest schedules?
I think that might have already passed. So let's see here. They have. See, they're the opposite. They have a lot more road games than they do home games. They're home for Orlando, at Portland, at Utah, at San Antonio, home for the Thunder, at Milwaukee, home for the Pelicans, away for the Pelicans, home for Boston, twice against Toronto back to back, Saturday, Monday, home and away split. Then they have the Knicks, the Mavericks, the Blazers. Jesus, they do have a tough schedule.
Okay,
The
I'm just
Nuggets,
looking
the
at it.
Thunder, the Sixers, and then they end with the Rockets.
I'm looking at their schedule, and they have the second toughest schedule.
Yeah,
Behind Washington.
they're gonna have a tough road ahead. And then the only other team that matters to us right now is the Pelicans, who, I mean, I don't know where they rank as far as the toughest schedule goes, but
They have the easiest schedule.
the Kings, though, control their own destiny. The Kings, they got to keep playing. If the Kings don't win games, it's over. They control their own destiny. They have to win the games they need to win.
Yeah, but Memphis has to lose too. So,
but Memphis has been a disaster, for a little while now, and I don't see them just all of a sudden flipping back around perfectly. It's going to be tough for them. The Pelicans are the team that I'm more worried about. Zion is playing great. They're continuing to play high-level basketball, and like you said, they have an easy schedule ahead of them. Or easy in the sense that, based on record, anyone can lose it any day in the NBA.
They have the easiest schedule by opponents' winning percentage.
Yeah, but they play Memphis twice. They play the Kings twice.
They play Atlanta twice.
Atlanta twice. They have the Spurs in there. They have the Suns in there. So I don't know. The good thing is, we're in the middle of March almost. We're damn near to the middle of March. And we're actually talking about the Kings playing meaningful basketball.
Right.
When's the last time we did that? Last year, there was a little bit of a glimmer of hope, but it kind of fizzled out right before it started to matter.
Right.
They're in it. And, who legitimately, I know fans are confident. That's a given. Sometimes they're blindly confident. But who legitimately could have said, after the way this season started, that the Sacramento Kings would be in it, having meaningful conversation at this point?
I was talking to somebody last night, and he's not a great basketball. He likes watching basketball, but he's not a big fan. And he's like, God, I'm kind of wondering if they shouldn't just not make the playoffs and we get a better draft pick. And I said, well, yeah, I can see that. I said, but it's just fun watching meaningful basketball. And I don't care if they make it or not. I'm just happy at this point in the season that we're going over the schedule to see what their chances are of winning, of making the 8th place.
Yeah, not looking at the schedule going, damn, we could lose a lot of these games and get better odds in the ping pong balls.
Exactly.
That's the big thing for me. It's like, holy shit, we're not talking about ping pong balls.
Right.
It's March 8th, and the only ping pong talk we're talking about could possibly be the beer pong tournament celebrating a playoff game. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Fans need to go rock the house. They need to make sure that Golden One Center is completely packed and loud, especially Wednesday night. Put the NBA back on notice that the Kings fans are still here. It's a nationally televised game on ESPN. Get out there and be loud. Get out there and have some fun. See what you can do. And, man, I can't wait. Anything else you want to add about them? I know you've been kind of hit or miss about them this year, but you've been kind of on board again.
I've been on board. I'm a member of the positive police, according to one of the dipshits in one of those groups.
Right.
And, my opinion all season has been they haven't been healthy. I want to see them healthy. I want to see what they can do with the squad that they started out the season wanting to play with within reason. Nobody's going to be 100%. Everybody's going to have injuries, but you took three of their three best players away for extended amounts of time. Of course, they're going to suck.
Yeah.
They're playing now like I thought they could have played all year.
Imagine if Fox would have missed 8 games instead of 17. Imagine if Holmes would have missed 12 instead of 25. But
again, it's that process that they had to go through that we talked about earlier. Of they had to take 2 or 3 steps backwards.
Yeah.
Take any steps forwards, and I think right now, since they made the Buddy Hield change, they're starting to take those steps forward, and you're starting to see it.
That is probably the one thing this season that I am the most concerned about, though, going forward, is Buddy's role on the bench. Because right now he's being a great teammate. He's buying into it, but how much of it is going to weigh on him in the offseason if he doesn't have a guarantee coming into next year that he's going to be back in the starting role?
Because he needs a guarantee that he's got a shot.
Yeah,
to make the starting rotation.
Now, if they don't lock up Bogey, then there's your guarantee. You're right back in it, unless they go out and sign some big ass free agent. But you can't let Bogey walk. I mean, you can't, right? You got to match anything he gets.
What's that?
I said you got to match anything he gets.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's a max deal somewhere. You find a way to match it.
And we have the cap room to do it.
You cleared up a ton of money getting rid of Dedmon. You cleared up a lot of money getting rid of Ariza and a couple of those other deals, and bringing on the expiring deals of Lynn and Bazemore and those guys and Parker. Yeah, Bogey's got to be here long term, and then Fox get an extension.
I want to say that's part of the reason why Vladdy made those deals, was to be able to sign Bogey next year,
knowing that a team is going to back a truck up to him and go, "Here's your money.
Yeah,
the game's on you, Kings. What are you going to do?"
Yep.
And Vivek better put his money where his mouth is, because if Vivek somehow puts a kibosh on them signing him to a high price deal, there's gonna be mutiny amongst Kings fans. It's not gonna be pretty, and that will be the time that I 110% get on board with fire Vlade, oust Vivek, whatever it comes out to be. If he lets one of our franchise players walk over a couple, over some money that he rightfully deserves, you better look
that we can pay him. That we can afford to pay him.
Yeah,
under the cap.
Yep, it's gonna be interesting. No Oakland A's shit here. Let's pay our guys. Speaking of that, baseball is almost back. We'll talk more baseball in the next couple of weeks.
Sorry,
over some money. Rookie move.
All right.
We're gonna dive into that. The Giants and Rivercats play here in a couple of weeks at Wrigley Field. Major League Baseball kicks off for the Giants April 3rd against the Dodgers. We talked about it a little bit before. This Giants team, they're not. I said they're going to set a record for all-time losses, 123 or more. I don't think so. I think this team is going to be put together well enough to pull some things off. They're certainly not going to be a 100-win team, but I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. There's going to be 2 things that happen, and we're going to dive into this a lot more with Addison probably next week. The Giants are either going to be the bottom dweller that everyone expected, and it's going to be, holy shit, look how bad they are, everyone point and laugh. Or they're going to be, holy shit, how do they get in the playoffs?
I disagree with you.
I don't think there's going to be a middle ground.
I disagree with you.
They're going to be in a position, so my opinion is they're going to be in a position where they're either fucking terrible and you could get a ticket on the field for $1, or they're going to be buyers at the deadline. They're going to bring in some big bats or big names, and they're going to make a run at the playoffs. There's not going to be any middle ground. It's either going to be, ha ha ha, you suck. Holy shit, where did that come from?
I disagree. I disagree with you. 50% I disagree with you. I think they're either going to suck rocks or they're going to hang around long enough just to make it interesting and fade in the end. There's no way that they're going to be good. They're going to be...
TJ thinks they're going to be 59 and 103.
Yeah, TJ's been saying that the whole year. I think they're a 70 to 80 win team. I think you're going to see some changes in some of the position players. Although I'm kind of curious as to why Buster hasn't played one inning at first base all spring. But I think I can see them, like I said, I think there's two options. I think they're either gonna have TJ's prediction come true and lose 105 games, or they're gonna hover right around 500, and that's kind of what I can see them going on some runs, winning 4 or 5 games in a row. I can also see them losing 7 or 8 in a row. I think in the end, they're a 70 to 80 win team.
I would love to agree with you on that. I just, for whatever reason, feel that there's going to be a little bit more to it for this team.
Well, and you know how our predictions are. We suck. So
yeah, exactly.
We're going to be wrong no matter what we decide to do.
Think of it as you will. I also have another prediction that I'm not happy with or not happy about, but I think that a big name pitcher is going to go down with Tommy John this year. And what's that?
Go ahead. I got a news flash for you too.
National League pitcher is going to go down with Tommy John. And I just have a gut feeling that's going to be Madison Bumgarner. Not that I want him to. I just have a feeling that he's been that workhorse so many years. And I've been listening to guys talking about how different it is to throw in Arizona in the summer. Even though they have that climate control building, there's just a lot of talk about, for some reason, it's different. Randy Johnson talked about how he felt different throwing later in his career out of Arizona because the weather was different and it wasn't the dry humidity and he didn't have to stay as hydrated. And, there were so many different things that threw off his game. For some reason, I think that's going to be a culture change to Bumgarner, who's been thrown in that cool San Francisco air. And I hate to say it, but I think that all those years as being the horse and just being rode, especially last year coming back from injury and then throwing so many innings that he did for no reason, I just have a gut feeling that Bumgarner's going to go down with a big injury this year.
Yeah, I can see that. So I got some breaking news.
I don't have the music, so go for it.
Okay. Elk Grove Unified School District has asked for Sheldon to be put back into the CIF State Basketball Open Division Tournament. It's according to Michelle Draper.
They should be in that damn tournament.
Yeah, and there's a whole press release. I'm not going to read it all, but basically they're admitting they fucked up.
Yeah, they absolutely did fuck up, and they need to be in the tournament. They deserve it. Those kids earned it. Think about how fucking shitty that would have been for all of those seniors who've been playing their asses off to have a chance to, get redemption from the tournament last year and have a chance to go up against LeBron's kid down there in SoCal. And for them to be like, oh, the coronavirus, sorry, your guys' senior quite clean. Yeah, not okay with that at all. I'm good with them bringing it back in. Get those guys in the tournament, reschedule that game. It's not going to hurt anything for them to play back-to-back days.
No.
Let them play. They're young. Get them on the court. Let that tournament go on. So with that being said, do you have anything else? Any other obscure shit that you like to talk about? Because we can get into WWE if you want.
No, I'm good. I just
The pay-per-view just kicked off.
oh wow, no, I think I'll pass. Although I do want to say I lost one of my everybody knows I coach swimming, and that's pretty much what I do. And the person that taught me pretty much everything I know about the sport passed away this last week, and it's kind of hit everybody pretty hard. So, Mike, thinking about you. Thanks a lot for everything you did for me, and I hope you're in a better place now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just so you know, the U.S. Championship is being put on the line right now as we speak.
Fuck.
Charlotte Flair's fiance Andrade is coming to the ring.
Oh boy.
Anyways, for Greg Veroza, I am Greg Bowl. This has been episode 303.
303.
And we appreciate you all tuning in at an earlier time. We hope to see you guys all next week. Go Kings at 6 o'clock against the defending champion Toronto Raptors. And we will see you guys later.
Good night, Larry.